Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel Yee. If it's your first time here, thank you for joining me in my little corner of the internet. Today I have another basic bitch look with a interesting story time. I don't know what to call these, but I guess basic bitch look and enter story title here. Today I have an interesting story that happened to me while I was in high school, because apparently all my interesting stories happen in high school, or all the weird things happen to me in high school. But I'm just gonna be walking you through like kind of like what I would do on a day where I'm like going somewhere quickly, like from working out or whatever it is that I'm doing, and and what I would do in that scenario just to look presentable. I feel like this might even be like good for like those days when you're sick, because I actually tried to record this last week and I was pretty sick. I have the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Instant Retouch Primer. This is I think it's supposed to be moisturizing, but it tends to be pretty matte once it dries down, but it's good for adhering your products onto your face. So yeah, I'm just gonna use that and just get that on, and using the Weleda Skin Food. I'm addicted to this right now just because it leaves your skin looking so glowy, and it's just $10 and it's pretty much skincare, I believe. I purchased this off of recommendations off of Katie Jane Hughes on her Instagram. She raves about this, and she definitely did not steer me wrong, because I love this, and I love that it's affordable. I love that it gives you such a nice glow, and it really shows up even on camera, I think. Basically, I had been living with my dad and my stepmom, and my grandma was living close by to my high school. So I had originally been living with my grandma first, and then I moved in with my dad and my stepmom once they were married, and they lived in Anaheim, but I still went to the same high school, so I'd have to drive a little bit further, so I would be using my grandma's address because technically I wasn't in the school district. During this time is when I was telling you guys how I was going in with the Glossier Stretch Concealer in medium. I looked on the site the other day because I was trying to tag this in a recent video that I used this in, and they're sold out. I've never been on their site where the stretch concealer has been sold out, so I'm so sorry, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna restock soon just because it's such a popular product, and Glossier is, I feel like, a bigger brand that can restock pretty like faster than other like indie brands, you know? So anyway, so I think it was my senior year in high school, I believe, and this was the same year that I got choked at a Subway. I got into trouble with my stepmom and my dad because I took my car to San Francisco to visit colleges that I was going to attend the following year, and they told me not to because they were testing me, because they had let me have a car that was my grandpa's previous car that he'd had for years, and they told me a bunch of times that it wasn't gonna make it to San Francisco. But if you want to hear that full story, I'll talk about that in another story. But basically, told me not to take the car. I took the car. The car broke down, and I was in a lot of trouble after that, me and my friends. So I believe because of that, they told me to move in with my grandma because they were so upset about me acting out constantly. So I moved in with my grandma, which was fine for me because I'd lived with my grandma for most of my childhood, like while also seeing my dad, you know, because he was working. But yeah, so it was like completely fine for me, but for a second there we weren't on good terms with me and my parents just because I was a dumb child who was acting out for no freaking reason. So anyway, moved in with my grandma. And my grandma always lived in this house, and she always rented out her rooms to complete and utter strangers. But yeah, it's like I'm Korean. I live in a big Korean town, or at least it was when I was growing up. And so like all the Korean people kind of know each other, and so my grandma would put up flyers because this was a big ass house for her to just live in by herself, and that way she could make extra money by renting out the rooms. And so there'd always be men in this house specifically, just because my grandma didn't like women living in her house, because there was this other time she had a lady that was living in one of the rooms, and she was like a hoarder and like would hoard everything into her room, and eventually would stop paying rent. And so then she just moved out her stuff. So eventually she just was like, okay, never ever am I ever gonna have another Korean woman in my house. So yeah, anyway, now that that's done, I'm gonna go in with the Tarte Shape Tape in light medium honey. I'm just gonna put some onto my eyes for my primer. I don't really know if I need this, just because I'm going in with a pretty glossy eye today, but I just thought, hey, maybe I should just try to cover up my veins even though I'm not going anywhere, you know? So yeah, so ever since then she vowed to never have women living in her house again. So the majority of the time it was like middle-aged to older men living in the other rooms, and they were quiet most of the time, and they didn't really bother her. They just paid the rent, paid their due diligence, and that was that. It was not a big deal. Anyway, so the reason I'm bringing this up is because when I moved in to her house, I was used to like older guys living in there, and maybe even if when I was there younger, I didn't notice that they weren't as old, just because I was so young when I was coming all the time. But then now that I was like 17, 18, I think I really realized the age that was living at her house, and it was to me the first time a somewhat young guy was living in the house. And that was fine. It was whatever. I didn't care. Like, I was just going to high school. I was just working at Subway, doing my thing. So didn't really care. I'm trying to figure out what bronzer I want to use. I think I'm just gonna go in with the NARS Laguna bronzer, the liquid version. This is my favorite, and I'm sorry that I use it every time, but I just love it so much, especially for this kind of look where I want to keep it kind of like subtle. Okay, so yeah, so this is the first time I just like ever really realized that I'm actually like pretty close in age, but not really, because he's still 10 years older than me. There was a guy living here around maybe his late 20s, early 30s, and it was like whatever. Like he like just like minded his own business. I never really saw him. I never really saw anybody that lived in the other rooms. And what I did notice was that he was the first to like bring girls into the house, just because my grandma is very conservative, and so, and also like he was much younger than the guys that she would allow them to live in the house, I guess. And so most of the guys are just very quiet and they just mind their own business, go to work. They don't really like talk to anyone that much, you know? And they definitely don't have anyone over, because they're kind of like, they're Koreans. They're like respectful of my grandma and whatnot. So it was that. So this guy, he would have girls over all the time, and like so it would bother my grandma, because her being an older conservative Korean woman, like did not want random women in her house, you know? She probably didn't want sex happening in the house. Like, let's just be real here. So she would just like complain to me about it all the time in Korean. And I think like he kind of got the hint, just because like, I don't know, it's pretty obvious. Like my grandma makes it very obvious when she's like upset with something, like she tells him, you know, whatever. So up until this point, I hardly saw this guy, but because like we're all on very different schedules, like a lot of them just either leave late at night because they like drive an Uber or something, or they have like late jobs, or they have different schedules as me, where I was at school going to the subway and doing all my things. And so yeah, I like hardly would run into anyone, even if I was at the house all the time, and most of the time I wasn't. And I guess I don't really remember what happened. Maybe I ran into him in the hallway, but it was whatever. I just said, hey, what's up? Nice to meet you. Okay, I'm gonna go on with the Jillian Dempsey cheek tint, and this I got because of a makeup artist. Her name is Nikki Makeup on Instagram, I believe. If I'm wrong, then I'm sorry. But so this is the Jillian Dempsey cheek tint, and I saw her use this in one of her Instagram videos, and it looked so glossy and beautiful that I was just like, oh gosh, I'm just gonna purchase all of them, as you do. And so I'm just gonna grab some onto my brush and just place it onto the apples of my cheeks. This is a very flushed, natural kind of look, so it goes with what I have in mind. And so I thought it was a pretty normal run-in in the hallway, but apparently this man did not, because I remember specifically like just being in my room. I don't know what I was doing. Like maybe I just had come back home from work, or maybe I was doing homework. I don't know what freaking 18-year-olds do, but I was doing something. And like 5 seconds later, I just like see like a piece of paper just flying underneath my doorway, and I'm like, that's fucking weird, but whatever. And so I go to pick this note up. I think that's good, and I'm gonna use the Jillian Dempsey bronze lid tint. It looks like this. I purchased this while I went to purchase the cheek tint, and then I was just like looking at all her other products, and I was like, well, I can't just buy one thing, so I just bought 4 of them. But anyway, I'm just gonna go in with that. It's like a creamy, like glossy product, pretty sheer. I'm just gonna build that up with my finger and then swipe it on as you do. And this color is called Bronze, but I've used it before when I was trying to film this previously, and it's actually pretty like taupey than it is bronze. So I don't know why it's called Bronze, but anywho, I'm just gonna swipe that on. So I just go over to like pick up this note, but also I'm like kind of scared, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is kind of creepy. Like this is like what a serial killer would do. No, they wouldn't. That's not what a serial killer would do, but I don't know. I was just freaked out a little bit, but I was just like, okay, maybe like don't freak out too much, you know? Like don't freak out too much, Rachel. Just calm down. Like, anxiety is going through the roof, but calm down. And so I go to pick it up, and I remember the note said, hey, can I have your number, ? Like written in like just pen and paper, like super creepy. I was like, what the shit? Like, and I know it has to be that guy because I just ran into him in the freaking hallway. Like, why did he have to make it super creepy? Like, he had to walk from his room to my room and slip this note under after he'd already run into me in the hallway. He couldn't just like be not weird about it. Like, he had to be super weird about it, you know? And so I'm like, oh shit, like at this moment I'm realizing, oh, like I've only previously lived here when I was a little young child with like older men, you know? And now I'm kind of age, like I'm 17, 18. I mean, still pretty fucking young, still really weird. But, you know, it's like the first time I'm kind of starting to look like a woman. And so comes the unwanted attention. And yeah, I was pretty freaked out about it. Texted my friends. I was like, dude, like what the fuck do I do? Like, I'm freaking 18 years old. I don't know if he knows I'm 18 years old, you know? Maybe he thinks I'm like 25 and that's more appropriate, you know? And my friends are just like dumb, like 17-year-olds, so they're just like, oh my god, so freaky, wow, what creepy. Like, that's how 17-year-olds sound to me in my head. But anyway, so I'm like, and I'm a very paranoid person. I get paranoid about everything, and I'm like the person that freaks everybody out in the group when it's like a total normal scenario. So I like go outside of my house to like call my friend and talk to them about it, just because I'm afraid that this person is listening to me through my room. And I'm afraid that there are like cameras in the bathrooms and that like he's watching me shower or something. I don't fucking know. I mean, that's pretty extreme, but that's where my mind goes when a note gets slipped under my doorway like that. It's just fucking weird. Okay, so I'm gonna layer the Jillian Dempsey glimmer lid tint on top of that, just to give it a little bit more dimension. It's a little bit more peachy, a little brighter, you know? Just gonna layer that on top and just build it. And so yeah, my mind automatically goes to the worst possible scenario in every scenario. It's never like a positive thought like, oh no, maybe he's just trying to be nice, like why, don't freak out, you know. My mind is like, oh, he's gonna kill me and there are cameras and he's gonna watch it over. That's my thought process. So I'm freaking myself out more than I probably should have. And for some odd reason, I didn't tell my grandma about it, which I probably should have, but because she would have definitely kicked him out for that, you know. But I just like gave him the benefit of the doubt, as I do like a dumb idiot that I am. I'm just gonna repeat the steps on the bottom of my eyes. Just add that bronzy color and that peachy color underneath my eyeballs. And so I'm just like giving him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he didn't know I was 17, 18. Maybe he's not trying to be creepy. Maybe he just, you know, came about it in a weird way. And I was just trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, but in my mind I knew it was definitely creepy. And another thing, I think another reason I didn't tell my grandma was because he was gonna move out anyway, because he like understood that my grandma was really uncomfortable with the fact that he was bringing girls around, and he wanted to have like a bachelor pad to himself basically. And so I think like I was just like, okay, well, I'll just have to deal with this for a little bit longer and he'll just go away, so it's not a big deal, you know. And so I just thought, okay, fine, whatever, I'll just deal with this for how many ever more months and then he'll be gone. It's not even a big deal. I'm going to go to school in San Francisco, like, don't freak out. I think that looks nice. I'm trying to figure out what else I need to do. I think I'm gonna go underneath my cheekbones with the Maybelline Fit Me light medium powder, loose finishing powder, and the, yeah, that's what it's called. There's nothing else to say. Just because I haven't used this since my drugstore video, and I really didn't like the way my under eyes showed up in that video. And I'm not sure if it's because of the powder or if it's because of the concealer. I have an inkling that it's the concealer. And I think this powder is good because I remember it being really soft and nice. The only problem is that it's a little dark for like highlighting powder. So what I wanted to do is just place it underneath my cheekbones, but it doesn't really do much for that because it's very close to my natural skin tone. So I'm just like, whatever, like, I'll just deal with this. And at this time, I was walking home after my shifts at Subway because my dumbass broke my only car that my parents gave me after they told me not to drive it long distances because they told me it was going to crash. And so at this point, I didn't have a car anymore. And so I was walking back and forth from my work to my house, and it wasn't like a far walk, and most of the time I could get like a friend to drop me off after my shift, but this particular time I didn't have a ride. I think I'm gonna use that same glimmer shade as my highlight and just place that on my cheekbones because I believe that's what they said people use it for, as well as a lid tint. Okay, so I was walking home this particular night and I was honestly really tired and I just wanted to go to bed. And I was walking up to my house and I just see a figure from a distance. And maybe this is more dramatic than it actually was. He was just standing there and he starts walking towards me and I'm like mentally freaking out and I'm like, is this what's gonna happen? Like, is this where the weirdness continues to happen? I don't think I ever responded to that note. By the way, I was just so creeped out I just didn't respond because it was just really weird. And so he like comes walking towards me and I'm like trying not to be freaked out. My house is right there, so I'm walking towards my house. I'm like, oh God, please don't kill me. But then he just like walks up to me and he says, oh, like, are you walking home from Subway? And I'm like, yes, clearly I'm in my Subway uniform. Yeah, I'm like walking home from Subway. And he's like, oh, like, he's like, it's really dangerous out here at night. Like, if you ever need a ride, like, you can just ask me for a ride. It's not a big deal. And I'm like, oh, thanks. Like, but most of the time my friends can drop me off. It's really not a big deal. But tonight they couldn't. But really, thank you, you know? And so I'm like, thanking God that I'm not gonna be murdered by this man. And then I think I'm gonna go in. Let me see. I'll go in with my Pixie Glow Mist first. This is almost done. I'm so excited. So I can get another one. I love this. If you want a glowy mist from the drugstore, this is. Just spray that in the wrong direction. This is where it's at. Straight. And then I go inside to my house and everything's fine. But then I realize I had to cash my check that I got that week. And I don't want to walk to the bank. So I'm like, should I use this creepy guy to my advantage and ask for a ride to the bank? What can possibly go wrong, you know? And so I do. You know, maybe the dude's not trying to be creepy. Maybe he's just honestly just trying to be a nice dude because he lives at my grandma's house. I don't fucking know. And so I ask him, I'm like, hey dude, like, I know you offered to like take me to work, but instead, can you possibly take me to the bank instead so I can cash my check? I'll buy you boba. I think that's what I said. Something along the lines. Or maybe I wanted boba and I offered it to him just because I wanted to get boba. So anyway, he's like, yeah, sure, no problem. And it's a seemingly normal ride to the bank. It's not anything. But then he goes, but then we're talking about something. And at this time, I think I was like really insecure about my weight or something. And I was just talking to him, like, I don't know why the conversation came up, but he was like, oh, like, don't worry about your weight, like, it's just girls your age, like, you guys have baby fat, and then as soon as you're an adult, you just lose the baby fat, you know? And I'm like, I don't think so, like, I think I'm just gonna be chubby forever. And it's a seemingly normal conversation with a 17, 18-year-old who has self-esteem issues. So it's fine, it's whatever. And then this is where the conversation takes a weird little turn. I didn't even tell you what brow product I was using. I don't think I was using the Glossy Boy Brow because although I do like the effect of soap brow, it gets crazy really fast and I don't know how to fix it, and the story is almost coming to an end. So yeah, so we're just talking about like older girls and whatever, and I'm like, okay, like this dude's not weird. He wasn't trying to be weird. Like I just took it the wrong way, you know. And then he goes, oh yeah, if I had a girl, you would be exactly what she looked like. And then in my head, I'm like, bitch, what? Who the fuck says that? Clearly he knows how old I am. Like he said girls your age lose their baby fat, so he knows I'm younger, bitch. He knows I go to high school. He knows I'm underage or maybe barely of age. And I'm like, bruh, like, what? Who says that? Way to be fucking creepy. And I'm like really weirded out the entire time. I'm like, okay, but I still want boba, so I still make him go to this boba shop so I can get boba after talking 15 minutes about how I think I'm fat. Yeah, and then so it just was really weird, and I was like, yeah, he's definitely creepy. I'm never gonna talk to him again. And so eventually we just drive back to my house. It's not weird. I think he tries to stir up conversation with me a couple of times, but I totally ignore him because who the fuck says if I had a girl she would look just like you? Like, what the fuck does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? Is that supposed to be flattering? Is that supposed to be flattering? I don't fucking know. I don't know. And I think I need to go in with mascara now. I'll go in with the I'll go in with the Hourglass Caution Mascara. Looks like this. Looks like that. I've used it plenty of times on my channel. So anyway, I'm like, there's like other parts of the conversation that was really creepy as well, but I don't really want to go into detail. But so I'm just like ignoring him, although we're living in the same house. Eventually he moves out, and then I just totally completely forget about him, and I got mascara just fucking everywhere just now, and I just completely forget about him, to be honest. And then like months later I get a text from him. Oh wait, no, that's not true. So he did try to talk to me again, and the conversation was something like, oh, like once I move out, like you should definitely come over, like it's gonna be more of a bachelor pad, like it's gonna be like my place for my own. And I'm like, yeah, sure, without having any intentions of actually ever going. I just was like, no, that's not happening. But yeah, months later I get a text from him after I've forgotten about him for months now, like completely forgot, because he moved out of the house and I was no longer afraid for my life. And I think he was just saying hey or something, and I thought this was going to be the invitation to his bachelor pad, and I had no intentions of going to his bachelor pad, so I just kind of straight up ignored him. But then like I just hear my phone going off like 3 more times, and I'm like, oh my god, like what the hell's going on? But it's like really not a big deal. I think he was just getting upset with me because I was ignoring him. I think that Hourglass Caution Mascara is getting pretty dry, so I'm just going to go over it with the Lancome Mascara Big Mascara. But yeah, he was just getting really agitated at the fact that I wasn't responding, and maybe I give him false hope because he drove me. Maybe I got his hopes up, but also why are you talking to a fucking 17-year-old again? I don't fucking know why. I just got a little mascara, but it's coming right off because the tints are very glossy. I don't really know how I feel about these lid tints. Like I like them initially, but they fade away so freaking fast, and I'm like, $28 for it to just barely stay on my lid. It's like kind of annoying, but I mean, I guess that's the effect of a glossy lid. But also I would rather just put on the Milk eye gloss at that point then, because that actually stays on your lids and it stays like throughout the entire day. I'm also going to be trying out, well, not trying out, I tried it out in that previous video. When I opened this for the first time. It's like the little mini Pat McGrath lip glosses. I got these because I've never tried Pat McGrath glosses, and I've always wanted to try them. And this is in the Skin Show Warm, and I didn't expect to like it as much as I do, but after I tried it in that video, I have one of the other ones in my purse, and I've also been carrying this one in my purse. This one's in Bronze Temptations, and these are the best fucking formula. They just glide over your lips. They make your lips look super, super full, and they just stay glossy. Like, it doesn't do that weird gloopy thing where it just slowly fades off and then gets like sticky in like the middle of your lips and it makes it look drier. They stay glossy and they fade away pretty. So I'm just gonna put this on because I'm not going anywhere. I just want this to be a basic look. This is in the color Bronze Temptation, and if you're thinking about getting the warm set, I would definitely recommend it just because I was afraid it was gonna be too dark for me, but surprisingly they're pretty sheer, but still pigmented enough that it still looks pretty. So through that long ass tangent, putting on this lip gloss now. And they smell like vanilla, if that's your thing. Like vanilla, pure vanilla extract, not like artificial vanilla drops, you know? Okay, so that concludes my look. And the story basically ends with him being very upset with me and telling me like, I didn't even want to talk to you. I just wanted to talk to your grandma. It's really rude that you're not answering me when I have to reach her. And this is an emergency. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't know it was my job to connect you to my grandma. If it was such an emergency, you could have just gone to the house. She's there 24 hours a day, you know? I think that was just like that was just his way of being petty, because I wasn't responding to his creepy ass texts and invitations to his bachelor pad. But anyway, that concludes this basic bitch look. Hope you found the story and the look a little interesting. If not, then I wasted my time. Just kidding. Yeah, I'll just give you a little clip of my face up close. And this is a really good makeup look for when you're like sick as well. It makes you just look alive and put together and not slowly dying a painful death. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. I won't have so many of these just because I don't have like crazy stories just to pull out of my ass every single week, but whenever I can think of them, I probably will film them somewhere with some basic ass bitch looks, because I do like doing basic ass bitch looks, because I guess I'm a basic ass bitch. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this look. I hope you guys found the story entertaining. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!